Hey, is this still a thing in the year 2020? Apparently it is, even though I've mentioned this 1,000 times. A lot of people will see like a big YouTube channel. This person's got millions of subscribers. They must know what they're talking about. And I'll take their advice. Now, everybody makes mistakes. Let's be fair, honest, and logical here. If I or anybody were to say, someone with some moderate ethics at least, say something wholly incorrect due to error or by omission, accidentally. Like, oh, I made a mistake. You're correct. Yeah, I apologize for that. Then correct the error so that you would never make that mistake again. But what if somebody or someone is so hubristic, that's a great word everybody should learn, hubris, that they believe that once they have said it, that it cannot be retracted. No, you can't retract that. Why? It's not true. Well, because I said it. So I've had two people today, and this happens at least a few times every week. People asking me, I heard on so-and-so's channel that you should not use, and there are many examples of heinously ignorant things said, you should not use FX lenses on DX cameras. And that's completely incorrect. The photography community keeps spreading nonsense. If I have a DX camera, I need DX lenses. Now, these cameras, the Fujifilm X-S10, which is awesome, and the X-T4, now these are crop sensor cameras, just kind of like a Nikon D500, right? I use a lot of full-frame, older, adapted lenses on these. You see, it's kind of like cutting the crusts off of the bread. When you're using an FX lens on a DX camera, not only are they not less sharp, it's completely ludicrous. People are coming up with this silliness. You can't use an FX lens on a DX camera. Why? You're actually taking the best part of the image circle. Not only is it not true, it's palpably false. Every YouTube channel except for mine, apparently, I know of no other, think that if the lens is the sharpest, then it's the bestest. Whatever's the sharpest is the bestest. And that is as stupid as saying, whichever booze got the most alcohol in it, that's the best. Well, that's what a drunken wino thinks. You get $5 donation in the cup. The alcoholic homeless guy, he walks into liquor stores. Give me the stuff with the most alcohol in it. It could be paint varnish, or in this case, tonsil varnish. She's like, what's going to get me drunkest the quickest? The notion that the sharpest lens is the best lens is, let me state this in no uncertain terms. Stupid! It's dumb. There's not a single person that appreciates a fine wine, which is not me because I don't drink. I'm not against drinking a glass of fine wine. It's actually good for you. Not a single person with two brain cells that thinks that a wine would be judged on its percentage of alcohol content. It's based upon its je ne sais quoi. Yeah, the essa, or the essence of what it is. It's completely ludicrous that these YouTubers keep saying this ridiculous nonsense. One of the lenses, countless, endless thousands of people, just one example among many that bought off my recommendation, the Voigtlander 58mm f1.4, or, for example, the Nikkor 180mm 2.8, one of the finest lenses ever made. It's an old lens, not that very sharp. Neither one of them are. Those lenses render so incredibly amazing. They're just absolutely jaw-dropping incredible. So all these YouTubers that keep spreading this garbage about sharp lenses. Sharp lenses are incredibly important for macro work, reproduction, and architecture and product photography. Other than that, it's not important. It's just not. Generally so, meaning like 95, 98%. And last but not least, and there are countless examples of this form of heinous ignorance, is that larger sensors gather more light, which of course they don't. Yeah, more light is not a reference to anything a camera does, because a camera is not a solar cell. Larger solar cell gathers one thing, power. Cameras don't gather more light. They do when you actually change the f-stop or change the exposure time. But a larger sensor doesn't gather more light. It does if it's a different type of architecture. It's like a more advanced sensor that has higher SNR, signal to noise ratio. In other words, it's a completely different, more efficient, superior design, but larger sensors don't gather more light. Every sensor on this earth does one thing. It registers endless, countless millions of points of light, whether that be a 3 megapixel sensor or a 102 megapixel sensor or a 50 or a 26. Countless different intensities, countless different colors in registration, and where they're located at in the composition. Larger sensors don't gather more light. This is the reason why light meters, you know, that little thing that most people don't use anymore. Light meters don't have an input or selection or a button or a menu selection for sensor size. Not a single light meter on this earth, and I've got the best. I've owned more light meters than the top 20 YouTube channels combined times 10. They don't gather more light. Yet people still keep saying this. You know, there's another YouTuber out there that just still persists in saying this stuff. There's more than one. These people are hubristic because they've been told many thousands of times, like, you know, you're not right. Exposure is per unit area, not per total area. Yeah. Yet they think that once they've said it, that's the way it is. I said it, and there it is. And this is just not true. I do get amused when people ask me about this, about what these other YouTubers are saying, which is, you know, so incredibly ignorant. And they just don't get it. I mean, it's okay, and it's like, well, you know, this guy must be right. He's got X number of millions of subscribers. No, they're not right. That's called truth by consensus. That's like, oh, I'm going to join the religion that's got the most followers. That makes sense. More people will have to be more right. Look at this. Here's an FX sensor and here's a DX sensor. Which one gathers more light? Here is an FX sensor. Here's a DX sensor. Yeah. Now, if both were the exact same type of architecture, both were BSI or both non-BSI, the only difference was their size, the answer is neither one because exposure is per unit area. Sensors don't work like picture windows because, like, if I got a larger window, it's letting in more light. Camera sensors must be the same way. The bigger it is, the more light. More bigger, more better. Now, larger sensors are better when it comes to medium format, and they're better, but not because they gather more light, but because they require less enlargement. They also have a different perspective. You're looking at a 110. You're technically optically closer with the same field of view. For example, an 85 millimeter is equivalent to 110 millimeter on 44 by 33 44 by 33 medium format. So next time you trust somebody because they have X number of hundreds of thousands or millions of subscribers, don't. Use your own brain. Stop believing people that you think are right just because this guy's got a lot of subscribers. He must be the most accurate. Like, no, they're not. No. And amazingly, the fact that people are that hubristic, they've been told, like, you're not right, and here's the facts. Boom, boom, boom. None of the facts are contestable. They're not. Well, I said it, and it's going to stay that way because I said it. That is true egoity. That is true hubris. Some of these people are like that. I think people are actually starting to wake up to that fact. They're becoming more acute to the woo-woo talk. You know, woo-woo is basically another way of saying nonsense. Anyway, hope you have a happy holidays. I'm sure I won't, but I hope you do. And goodbye.